Man-made.
103.5 KLITE, the station that plays hits from the 90s and 2K. We're doing Man-Made, and the topic for tonight, how do you assert yourself with a tough lady boss? So James pretty much shared
Nothing.
Oh, that was an interesting.
He shared
experience,
nothing
actually.
quite eloquently, I might add.
his jobs as a host slash DJ and a DJ also in another radio
Yeah.
station.
Yeah, a defunct one. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Coach Chappie.
Yeah,
It's not
actually-
defunct. It's just not called the Hive
Named
anymore.
differently.
right?
Yeah, but that means it. Yeah,
Okay.
Different program. Anyway,
totally
so
different now.
I actually had a lot of tough women around me.
But
growing
were
up.
you ever in a job that you
Yeah.
reported directly to?
Yes, actually, my first job ever was with it's a basketball school. It's called Coach E, and named after Coach Eric Altamirano, of course. And his wife was the
Hands-on more than him.
really. Yeah, I mean, Tita Marisa, I love her to death, and they're actually my godparents in our wedding. But yeah, Tita Marisa would really run the ship tight, and because she was dealing with basketball players, we were all ex or current basketball players teaching the sport to young kids.
Yes.
And you know, with children, you really have to be strict with how you act around children, diba? So Tita Marisa was always, you know, on our butts, and really making sure that we were well groomed, well disciplined, and you know, we were talking. We weren't.
So you were handling kids.
Yeah,
From what age range?
Anywhere from 4 years old to 18 years old.
All right.
So I was at the start, I was one of the coaches, and then they made me one of the managers. But still, I was working under Tita Marisa, and I mean, like what James said, doesn't really matter if it's a guy or a girl. It's more of how you yourself show it through your work. I'm not really the type of guy who would, who would do extra,
Okay.
as the kids these days would say. I won't be extra papansin, or I won't really try to stand out that much. But it really just shows in your work, and I guess it helped me out because they promoted me then. And then when we opened 360, our CEO actually is a woman. Her name's Joanna. And we are partners, but she is the one running the show, and now that she's a tough cookie and little girl, but you know, she really runs the ship tight, and
She knows what she wants.
yeah, she knows what she wants. She was a banker before,
Okay.
so you know, they're type A personality, very go-getter, and same thing. Again, you just show it through your work, and as long as you contribute to the greater cause of the company, I think this topic really is, it's not really controversial, but a lot of people nowadays could say it's how they lead is how, you know, what makes the company run smoothly or not smoothly. So
But is it intimidating if your boss, if your direct boss is female as compared to
not
male?
really. Again, because I grew up with a tough mom, I guess. I like what James always says. It depends on where you come from or on your circumstances. But I grew up with a mom who was very strict. I had a curfew, and
Until now?
until I left the house,
Okay.
which was tagal naman na. But still, so I was very comfortable around, you know, tough ladies, tough women. So I didn't have any problems dealing or sticking out or, you know, showing my worth for my companies. Again, it depends on where you come from. Some people might not be comfortable with it. Some people might be more comfortable with guys. Me, I'm okay.
Yeah, me, I can relate because I grew up with 3 women. My dad passed when I was really young pa. So I grew up with my 2 sisters and my mom. So really, I had no problem dealing with people of the opposite sex.
But your day job is you're an architect, right?
Yes.
I-
I don't really have a direct boss, but if you consider clients your boss for a particular project, then they're your boss for a particular time. I've had my share of really
you're
difficult.
Does the dynamic change though when it's like a client relationship? Even though you're right, technically that's your boss, because you know it's a short-term thing. Even so, in your industry, architectural projects last how long? 6 months, a year?
Depends, as little as 2 months to a year.
2 months to a year. But the fact that you know that there's an end in sight and it's you're outsourced as an independent contractor, Does that change the dynamic at all? Versus, let's say, being stuck.
Employed, yeah.
Yeah, because, if you're employed, I mean, it's a day in, day out grind. You're
You're not sure where the end point is, diba?
the end game. What's the end game?
But yeah, with
no
your
spoilers, no
contractual,
spoilers.
yes, please.
Let's just say, I think with the projects I've been exposed to and with, the let's say the owner is a corporation. The for some reason the women in that corporation or the wife in that if I'm dealing with a couple, it's always the female that are involved more than the men. I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that they're more artistic or they're just
Details, maybe?
Yeah.
Oriented.
Yeah, sometimes.
And the only time I encounter, having difficulties with them is when we don't see eye to eye, or if they're just difficult to begin with. That's just their personality. Like I've dealt with narcissistic clients. You just have to find out how to appease them or to come with a compromise is always good somehow, or it's just hard to avoid that person because they're just too involved in the project.
Well, why don't we, for the sake of the discussion, maybe we should really open it up to any kind of relationship where it can be you are working for a certain person. So not necessarily your boss, because I think Romy brings up a case where many people now are independent contractors. You will work with somebody for a year or two. In my case, I will work a lot with, let's say, advertising agencies.
Yes.
And multiple clients. So they're car companies, brands, and stuff like that. A lot of them have, I'll deal with a female brand manager, or the owner of an agency and stuff. Once again, I can always only go back to, I never put it down to gender because I just put it down to personality. If a person has a chip on their shoulder, regardless of what gender, it's going to be a problem. So how I handle that normally is I try to always remove the emotion from everything that I do when it's business. And this has helped a lot because you sometimes realize that the tension and fights only happen because you're getting into an area that's got really nothing to do with the business. It's all about, what's a better word for saying pataasan ng...
Yeah.
Okay.
B.
Yeah, exactly. But, all right, here, I'm trying to form that point here at some point. So you've got a situation where sometimes they will just try to get one over you just to say that they won. And you can tell that this is, okay, you have to be honest enough with yourself. Say, is this client being difficult just because he or she, but in the case of this topic, we're talking about ladies, to win this point, or do they really want to make headway? Because if you remove the emotion, you can always go back to saying, well, this is what works for me, and this is really the minimum I can do it. Don't let them get on your nerves. Because if you always start with why in everything that you do, you will always have a clearer path to wherever you're going. Always start with why. Because if somebody's negotiating and rattling you and throwing you around, that's usually what people who are difficult will do. They'll try to take you off course. The only way to get back on course is start with your why. Why am I doing this? And at what point does this become not worth my time? If you can answer those questions internally, you will always walk into any negotiation more prepared. Always half the battle's already won, because I can sit across going, okay, I know that these are my lines, but if you don't go in there with that and somebody's rattling you and you're feeling a little bit, hey, this is bastos or something, you might react in that situation and do something stupid. Whereas if you've got the idea of, okay, this is my why, so this is why I'm doing it. Anything that clashes with that why, those are deal breakers for me. And this is the point where it's no longer, this is my break-even point. This is where I start losing money. That way, you always are prepared for any situation that you're being thrown at, because a lot of times this happens in meetings, in phone calls, where you have to react quickly. And then the only way you can react quickly is just have your basics covered. And mine is, once again, start with why, and then always just have your break-even point, and when it doesn't become worth it. So that it doesn't become personal as well for you, because sometimes I look at a business deal that might have gone south, right?
Man-Made Fridays.